Hey, thanks for joining me today. We're going to talk today about how to write a speech about someone. And first of all, I have to tell you, congratulations. If you get to write a speech about somebody, that's a really important thing to do. So well done, and awesome that you were chosen to do this. Whether the person you're talking about chose you to do it or somebody else, they feel that you're the right person to deliver a message about that person in particular. And so we're going to talk about some of the tips and tricks that I would do in terms of writing a speech about somebody. I'm a Hall of Fame speaker, and although I mostly give speeches just in a corporate setting where I'm talking to an audience in general about a topic of my choosing, I've also had that very cool responsibility that you have, and that's why you're here. And writing a speech about somebody is such an interesting experience. It can be daunting. It can make you feel like, how do I say what I want to say about this person in only a few minutes? And so we're going to talk about some of the ways that I've prepared speeches in the past in this sense, as well as how you are going to succeed at doing it as well. You've come to the right place. Let's jump in. So whether this is a colleague, a mentor, a friend, somebody you don't even know very well, we're going to cover how you can make this an unforgettable presentation and why you have this opportunity as well. And so let's jump into it. First of all, let's talk about knowing your audience. I want you to think about the people in the audience and pretty much the reason for this award. You have to put it all together first. You can't just start talking about somebody in case they don't know who they are or they don't know very much about them. So what is the setting? Is it a corporate event? Is it an award ceremony? Is it a wedding? Is it a funeral? There's all types of situations where you might be talking about someone. And so make sure you know the audience, make sure you know the expectation, make sure that you're aware of the reason for this person receiving this speech, whether it's for an award or because it's a memorial or a tribute to them. The next question is, how familiar are you with this person? Do you know a lot about their background, or do you have to go do a bunch of research? This is actually a cool process because you get to now go dig back into either interviewing people that know this person, or you get to think about the experiences you've had with them personally. I like to go online even if I know the person really well. And I like to research their books or their videos, the things they've written, maybe a blog or things that have been written about them. Normally, if this is a person that you're giving a speech about, then most likely they've had things written about them. And so being able to research that is a really smart idea. And then what tone is appropriate for the audience? For example, let's talk about the difference between speaking at a funeral for a friend versus a friend receiving an award and you get to speak about them. So let's talk about the award winner first. Recently, I had the opportunity to induct one of my best friends into the Speaker Hall of Fame. It's called the CPAE, the Council of Peers Award of Excellence for the National Speakers Association. Now, this is a very rare thing because they only give 5 per year in this category. It's a very special thing. And my friend Jeff Savilico, who's somebody I've spoken about in a lot of videos on this channel, he's somebody that I look up to in a great way. He's one of the great speakers, performers, and entertainers that's ever lived. And so I got to give a speech about him. However, the audience didn't know he was the one getting the award. So that's where the context of know your audience, know the expectation comes in. In other words, I had to talk about all of his accomplishments without revealing his name. I had to talk about his youth, how he got there, the great nonprofit things that he's done, and all of the fundraising around the world for great causes. He's a great philanthropic entrepreneur. I mean, the guy's a genius at business and helping people and performing on stage. And so I had to put all of this into context in like 3 minutes. It was very hard. Now, at this speech, I had to literally read the speech because there was so much that I couldn't miss. And the audience was fine with that because it was a reveal of who this award was going to. And really, he was the one getting the award and giving the full speech. So I was just essentially giving a speech introduction. But that was the setup for that one. So it just depends. Sometimes you'll be giving a speech about somebody and everyone in the audience knows who it's about. And so that's a really nice thing. So you can just talk and share and everyone can laugh about the person they're all familiar with. That's an easier speech to give. Then there's the funeral. Recently, I had the great honor of my life to speak at the funeral of my mentor. His name is Chris Polis. Chris passed away in his 90s, and he had been somebody of a Yoda for me, and I was Luke Skywalker. He taught me so much in order for me to be even doing this video for you today. But what a great honor and what a daunting responsibility. In fact, they only asked me the day before if I would speak at his funeral. And so obviously I had a million stories. How do you pare them all down into 5-10 minutes worth? Well, the challenge was that the person that spoke before me gave about a 45-minute speech, and it was, I would say, probably 30 plus minutes too long. Then after me were all the children that were going to speak as well, who are all adults, and they all had long speeches too. And so I thought, well, I have to read the audience, right? I can't give the full speech I wanted to prepare or that I worked on. And so I have to just now pare everything down, cut it down to the essential pieces about my life with Chris, as well as how he influenced me. This was a wonderful experience and opportunity, and I'm so grateful I got to talk about him, but that was giving a speech about someone at a funeral. And so you need to consider all the variables, whether someone goes too long, other people are after you, and making sure that you honor the person properly. So now at the beginning of this video, I already talked about gathering information, but this is really an essential piece, and you don't want to overlook it. Whether you've had multiple experiences or just one or two things that have happened with you and this person, it's important to be able to talk back and forth through all of this with people that are familiar with this person, that know and love them, that have helped them, and also, if you can, talk to that person as well, who you're giving the speech about. Ask them what you would like them to say. For example, I gave a speech recently about a friend, and I wrote everything I thought that would want to be said. I researched, I looked at all of her blogs and her books and other things that she's created. I called her and I said, here's what I was thinking of talking about. And when I went through the bullet points, she said, oh, actually, I'd prefer you talk about these other things that I've done that most people don't know about. And I was like, oh, I'm glad I asked. And so making sure to gather information, but also communicating with the person you're going to be talking about is a real essential factor. Now let's talk about the structure of a speech. You know that most speeches have an intro, a middle, and an end. Well, you know, this is something that's important even in a short little speech about somebody, because most of these would be fairly short. I would say between 3, 5, 7 minutes max when you're giving a speech about somebody. But think about the timing, think about the structure. What's the body look like? What's the intro? What's the outro? What's the ending? The introduction is usually something that would make everybody smile or laugh. It would be maybe an anecdote that person's famous for, or something that they've accomplished, and you could just highlight a couple of things in a bullet point and then go into more of a story form in the body. And then you could wrap it up with something really nice as a bow to say, this is why this person has helped me, or this is how this person is so significant. Another great way for talking about somebody is using a timeline of their life. So, you know, you could go back to their youth and how they discovered what they were great at, then into their college years or their early adult years, then into the accomplishment years and so forth. And so having a timeline is always a nice thing for the audience to put in their mind that we're going somewhere truly on a path that they can recognize. I would recommend that you personalize it and add emotion. When we add emotion, it makes everything so much better. And so whether it's sharing gratitude for that person or it's something that they did that affected somebody else, sharing an emotional story, always use stories. Making it so that it's personalized so that that person knows, hey, they know a lot about me, they honored me. That's a really special piece. I would also recommend that you use humor and anecdotes. And so anytime you can make the audience laugh, that's a really important piece. Unfortunately, a lot of people have so many people that they want to talk about or thank in an awards acceptance speech or things like that, that they forget humor. And so when you're talking about someone, even if they're not necessarily a funny person, you can talk about something funny that happened between you, or in the way that you met, or how it came to be that you were the person to be asked to share this great speech about this person. Now let's talk about practicing and refining this speech. If you want to practice in the mirror, that's fine. I don't recommend mirror practice because that kind of feels weird. I would recommend you just turn on a camera and record yourself. Record it into a voice memo on your phone. Work on the speech so that you can feel that you're saying it properly and well. It's also really great, like I said, if you can practice it in front of the person you're talking about, unless it's an absolute secret, then practice it with them. And then they'll give you some ideas as to what you could say or they don't want in there. Also, if you don't want to do that with the person you're actually giving the speech about, then you can talk to someone that's really important to them and just say, hey, this is what I'm planning on saying. What do you recommend? They'll probably give you some stories, ideas, examples you had never heard of, And that's a great thing to be able to ask somebody how you can improve that presentation. Another thing you could do is add some visual cues. You could do props if they're known for a hat or glasses or certain things. Maybe they're the shoe guy and you hold up a shoe. There's all kinds of props you could use, visual aids, those types of things work out well. What I really recommend you doing is commit to something. Because you're that person who has chosen to speak about this special someone, I'd love if you put in the comments what of this video has been helpful to you and which of these practical tips you're going to utilize. I'd also like you to consider joining with us in our Liftoff Lab community. You just go to liftofflab.com. This is going to help you to have a space where you could practice that very speech. In fact, these are all people that are not necessarily professional speakers. Some of them are, but most of them are just starting out and wanting to make a career of it. So in terms of lifting off their career, lifting off their speech, we call it the Liftoff Lab. So go check out liftofflab.com. Thanks for joining me here, and good luck giving this very important speech about someone very special to you.